For decades, the name Tom Jones carried a promise. When he stepped onto a stage, audiences expected certainty, a voice that did not crack, a presence that did not waver, a performance that felt immune to time, scandal, or failure. That is why the night he was reportedly kicked off stage immediately struck such a deep nerve. Not because chaos on stage was unheard of in live music, but because it collided so violently with everything Tom Jones was supposed to represent. Stability, control, command. The moment itself was shockingly abrupt. 1 minute, the band was locked in, the lights were cutting through the crowd, and Jones was mid-performance, delivering with the same authority that had defined him for generations. The next minute, the stage went dark. Not dim, not transitional. Gone. The music cut. Screens went black. And then, without a farewell, without a word, he was no longer there. To the audience, it felt less like a pause and more like an ejection. The kind of ending that suggests something went wrong enough that it could not be fixed, negotiated, or explained in real time. Within minutes, confusion hardened into anger. Fans began to ask the same question over and over, both in the venue and online. What just happened? In the absence of information, the imagination took over. Some believed Jones had collapsed. Others whispered about backstage arguments, safety issues, or a decision made by organizers to pull the plug instantly. And as the crowd stood in uncertainty, phones were raised, clips were uploaded, and the phrase that would dominate headlines formed almost automatically. He was kicked off stage. That wording mattered. It framed the event not as an accident, but as a judgment. To be kicked off implies fault, refusal, rejection. It suggests that the performer lost authority in the very space where he was supposed to be untouchable. For an artist whose entire legacy rested on control and endurance, that implication alone was damaging, regardless of the truth behind it. What made the situation even more unsettling was how quickly it spread. The footage was incomplete, shaky, cut short by darkness, yet was enough. Online narratives do not need full context to survive. They need emotion, shock, and a clean sentence that fits inside a thumbnail. Tom Jones kicked off stage immediately was perfect. It was dramatic. It was humiliating. And it invited speculation without offering answers. Behind the scenes, the reality was far less theatrical, but also far more uncomfortable. The show had been affected by serious technical problems. Power failures, stage safety concerns, and communication breakdowns meant the performance could not continue. The decision to end the show was not made for spectacle, but for risk management. Yet none of that mattered in the moment, because none of it was visible. All the audience saw was a legend vanish without explanation, leaving them stranded in the dark. For Tom Jones himself, the silence was the sharpest cut. Artists are trained to manage applause and criticism, but they are not prepared for sudden erasure. There was no chance to reassure the crowd, no opportunity to contextualize what had happened, no final gesture to preserve dignity. 1 second, he was commanding thousands of people. The next, he was reduced to a rumor being edited in real time by strangers with smartphones. This incident did not destroy his career, but it cracked something fragile. It reminded everyone watching that even the most seasoned performers are still dependent on systems they do not fully control. Electricity, weather, infrastructure, decisions made offstage in seconds that can rewrite a narrative built over decades. And once that narrative shifts, it is almost impossible to pull it back. The story would not end that night. In the days that followed, explanations emerged, statements were released, refunds were discussed, and the truth slowly surfaced. But by then, the phrase had already taken root. Kicked off stage. Not because it was accurate, but because it captured how it felt to witness a legend disappear without warning. And in modern celebrity culture, feeling often outlives fact. This was not the fall of Tom Jones, but it was a reminder that even icons can be swallowed by darkness in an instant, and that sometimes the most damaging moment is not what happens, but how suddenly it ends. The morning after the Alnwick incident, the internet was alive with speculation. Clips of the blackout circulated across social media platforms, accompanied by captions that range from disbelief to outright condemnation. Fans who had been present at the concert uploaded shaky videos, each one capturing fragments of the chaos. And collectively, they created a patchwork narrative. Tom Jones vanished, the band faltered, and the audience was left suspended in darkness. While some viewers online defended the organizers, citing technical failures, others were quick to frame the event as a professional embarrassment for the singer himself. The power of perception had done its work. The truth, no matter how mundane, was irrelevant to the story that spread like wildfire. For those behind the scenes, it was a night of intense pressure. Stage managers and technical crews scrambled to address a series of cascading issues. Circuits had tripped, backup generators failed to engage promptly, and communication with the performers became nearly impossible in the ensuing confusion. These were details that the audience could never see, but they were the very things that had determined how abruptly the show ended. Risk assessments, safety protocols, and split-second decisions dictated the evening's outcome. Choices that had nothing to do with Tom Jones' professionalism or talent. Yet in the court of public opinion, nuance rarely survives. Meanwhile, the singer himself had to navigate a minefield of public expectation. Tom Jones was not just any performer. He was a cultural institution whose reputation was built over decades. To have an incident like this attached to his name was unnerving. Statements were carefully drafted and released, emphasizing the technical difficulties, expressing regret for the abrupt ending, and promising rescheduled performances. Even so, the psychological impact of such a sudden, public interruption cannot be understated. For an artist whose craft relies on connection with the audience, losing that interaction, even momentarily, can be disorienting. The applause and energy that normally sustain a live performance were replaced by an eerie silence and the collective bewilderment of thousands of fans. Despite the setback, the narrative of the kicked-off stage persisted. Headlines and entertainment media leaned into the drama, often overlooking the official explanations. They emphasized the visual of a stage suddenly darkened, a singer removed from sight, and an audience left in suspense. Social media hashtags multiplied. Tom Jones disaster, concert fail, stage chaos. Each post, each share, subtly reinforced the perception of a scandal rather than a logistical failure. In this way, the incident became less about reality and more about sensation, an object lesson in how modern audiences consume events, particularly those involving high-profile celebrities. As weeks passed, the conversation shifted to reflection and analysis. Music critics discussed the fragility of live performances in the digital age, noting that no amount of experience can fully insulate a performer from unpredictable variables. Fans debated whether the phrase "kicked off" was fair, with some arguing that it was an exaggeration of the facts and others insisting it captured the emotional reality of witnessing the sudden disappearance of a legendary entertainer. For Tom Jones, each discussion was a reminder of the precarious balance between public perception and professional reality. The incident also highlighted a deeper cultural truth about celebrity. No matter how iconic a figure becomes, they remain vulnerable to forces beyond their control. Stages can fail, equipment can malfunction, and narratives can spiral out of control in an instant. Tom Jones' decades of meticulous performance, of commanding a room with voice and presence, could be overshadowed by a few minutes of technical misfortune. In this sense, the Alnwick blackout was a microcosm of the modern celebrity experience, where perception often outweighs substance, and where control over one's image is never absolute. In response, Tom Jones and his team implemented new strategies to prevent similar incidents in the future. Technical redundancies were enhanced, contingency protocols refined, and communication lines between stage crew and performer strengthened. These changes were not mere overcorrections. They were necessary adaptations to a landscape in which even the slightest disruption can escalate into a viral narrative. The lessons learned extended beyond logistics. They were also about expectation management, audience communication, and the delicate choreography between performer, production team, and public perception. Yet even with these safeguards in place, the memory of that night lingered. Fans who attended the Alnwick show recounted their experience repeatedly, each retelling emphasizing the drama of the sudden darkness and the eerie absence of the singer. For many, the phrase "kicked off stage" became shorthand for a moment of collective disorientation, a night when the predictable arc of a Tom Jones concert was violently interrupted. And while historians of music might classify it as a technical failure, the emotional truth for those who witnessed it, and for the millions who later encountered the clips online, was far more resonant. Ultimately, the Alnwick incident serves as a testament to the unpredictable nature of live performance. Even a performer of unparalleled skill and reputation is subject to circumstances that lie beyond mastery. Tom Jones' legacy, though momentarily challenged by the blackout, endured because it was grounded in decades of excellence, charisma, and resilience. Yet the story also underscores a cautionary principle. In an era where every moment is documented and amplified, even a minor technical glitch can be transformed into an enduring legend or scandal by perception alone. The lesson is clear. For performers, the stage is both a sanctuary and a minefield. For audiences, it is a theater of expectation, emotion, and sometimes misunderstanding. And for Tom Jones, the night he disappeared from view was neither the end nor a reflection of his talent, but a vivid illustration of the fragility and intensity that define the modern concert experience. A reminder that even legends are not immune to the sudden, unsettling power of the unknown. In the days following the Alnwick incident, the story of Tom Jones being kicked off stage took on a life of its own. News outlets, bloggers, and social media commentators dissected every clip, every frame, and every witness account, turning a technical failure into a narrative of personal embarrassment. Each retelling amplified the drama. One video snippet showed the stage lights cutting out mid-song. Another captured the crowd murmuring in confusion, while a shaky fan recording focused on the empty microphone, waiting for the voice that had vanished. To the outside observer, it seemed as if the singer himself had been forcefully removed, but the truth was more complex and far less scandalous than the viral narrative suggested. Backstage, Tom Jones faced the dual challenge of understanding what had gone wrong and controlling the story before it spiraled further. Interviews and official statements emphasized that the concert's abrupt ending was due to technical failures. Circuits had overloaded, safety systems triggered, and the stage crew made the difficult decision to halt the performance to prevent potential accidents. Yet, this explanation was drowned out by the more sensational interpretation. Headlines screamed, "Legend kicked off stage," fans shocked, "Tom Jones removed abruptly in dark concert chaos," and "Concert ends in disaster for iconic singer." In the fast-moving world of digital media, the nuance of technical difficulties rarely survives. Emotion dominates. And visuals of darkness are far more compelling than backstage logistics. For Tom Jones' team, damage control became a high-priority operation. They coordinated statements with management, explained refund policies, and arranged rescheduled performances to demonstrate accountability. They also carefully emphasized the singer's professionalism, clarifying that his disappearance from the stage was never voluntary nor reflective of his ability. But in a media ecosystem that thrives on drama, even these statements were filtered through lenses of skepticism. Fans online debated whether the singer had lost composure, whether the crew had mishandled the situation, and whether it represented a rare lapse in a career defined by decades of stage mastery. The incident also provided a revealing glimpse into the psychology of audiences. When a beloved performer disappears mid-show, uncertainty quickly morphs into speculation. Silence, as has often been observed in live events, is interpreted as statement. The absence of action, explanation, or reassurance is read as guilt, failure, or humiliation. Social media magnified this effect, allowing fans who weren't even at the concert to form opinions based on partial information. The kicked-off-stage narrative, though technically inaccurate, persisted because it satisfied the human desire for dramatic, concise stories, complete with heroes, villains, and a shocking climax. Over the following weeks, more context emerged. Behind-the-scenes interviews with stage managers, technicians, and event organizers clarified that the situation had been entirely procedural. The stage lighting and electrical systems had experienced a critical failure, necessitating an immediate shutdown to ensure the safety of the performer, the band, and the audience. Tom Jones himself was reportedly calm throughout the ordeal, communicating with his team and awaiting instructions. Once power was restored, he was prepared to return, but the crowd had already been left with an impression of abrupt ejection. The contrast between reality and perception highlighted how quickly narratives can diverge from facts when emotions run high. For the public, the episode became a lesson in both the vulnerability of live performances and the fragility of celebrity image. Even a performer with a career spanning decades, one whose name is synonymous with reliability and showmanship, can experience moments where the machinery of live entertainment overpowers personal skill. It reminded fans and critics alike that live concerts are collaborative efforts reliant on countless systems working in harmony, and that a single failure, no matter how minor, can overshadow years of excellence. In the months after the Alnwick blackout, Tom Jones addressed the situation during interviews and public appearances. He spoke candidly about the incident, acknowledging the disruption while emphasizing the technical challenges beyond his control. His transparency helped restore confidence among fans, and the narrative began to shift from scandal to understanding. Retrospective analyses by music critics framed the event not as a failure of the performer, but as a cautionary tale about the unpredictability of live events in the modern era. By contextualizing the blackout as a logistical issue rather than a personal failing, the singer gradually reclaimed his narrative. Yet the kicked-off stage label lingered. It had been reinforced through repeated sharing, viral clips, and sensational headlines, making it a permanent, if misleading, part of the concert's memory. For scholars of modern celebrity culture, it served as a case study in how perception can outpace reality, and how digital amplification ensures that a single moment, especially one involving darkness and sudden absence, can dominate public consciousness. Even decades into a storied career, Tom Jones learned that no amount of experience can fully immunize a performer from misinterpretation, and that controlling a narrative requires both strategic communication and the resilience to withstand public speculation. Ultimately, the Alnwick incident did not diminish Tom Jones' legacy. He continued to perform at sold-out venues around the world, each concert a reaffirmation of his talent, charisma, and stage presence. Yet the event remains a powerful reminder of the fragility inherent in live performance. It illustrates that even legends are vulnerable to forces outside their control, and that in the age of instant media, the line between reality and perception is often blurred. For fans, the blackout became a shared story of suspense and disbelief. For Tom Jones, it became a moment of reflection on the precarious nature of performing under the unrelenting gaze of the public eye. Through the Alnwick incident, one lesson is clear. No performer, regardless of fame or experience, can fully predict how a live audience, or a global digital audience, will react when the unexpected occurs. The kicked-off stage narrative, though inaccurate, will forever serve as a reminder that in the theater of modern celebrity, perception often outweighs truth, and that even the most iconic voices can be silenced, not by choice, but by circumstance. After the Alnwick incident, the months that followed were as challenging as the night itself. Tom Jones and his team faced a dual task, not only ensuring that future performances would not suffer the same abrupt interruptions, but also reshaping the narrative that had begun to define that night. In the age of social media, a single viral clip could overshadow decades of impeccable performance, and the phrase "kicked off stage" had taken roots so firmly that it was nearly impossible to erase from public memory. Each media outlet, whether tabloids, blogs, or music magazines, approached the story differently, some with sensationalism, others with analysis, but all acknowledging the same stark image: a stage suddenly dark, a singer absent, and an audience left to speculate. Tom Jones knew that controlling the narrative required transparency and consistency. He began giving interviews, not to defend himself aggressively, but to explain the circumstances with calm authority. He described the technical failures backstage, the decision-making process that forced the show to halt, and the safety concerns that made immediate continuation impossible. More importantly, he highlighted the professionalism of his team and the importance of prioritizing audience and performer safety over completing the show at all costs. By focusing on responsibility rather than scandal, he gradually shifted public perception, reminding fans and critics alike that even a legendary performer must sometimes yield to the unpredictable forces of live entertainment. Fans played a crucial role in this narrative reconstruction. Those who attended the concert shared their experiences in blogs, forums, and social media threads, providing context that often contradicted the sensational headlines. Many described the crowd's initial shock, transforming into empathy once they learned about the backstage issues. These first-hand accounts humanized the incident, showing a singer navigating an uncontrollable situation with composure rather than panic. Over time, these narratives created a counterbalance to the viral exaggerations, emphasizing resilience over humiliation. Meanwhile, Tom Jones' subsequent performances became a subtle but powerful statement. Every show after Alnwick was executed with precision, demonstrating that technical failures did not define him. Fans observed an added layer of mindfulness and preparedness in his concerts, noting that while the signature energy and charisma remained, there was also a quiet confidence that nothing, not even unforeseen disruptions, could diminish the experience he delivered. In essence, he turned the incident into a lesson on professionalism, a demonstration that mastery of performance includes preparation for chaos, and that true artistry is measured as much by how one responds to adversity as by the heights of one's successes. Music critics eventually weighed in with retrospective analyses, framing the Alnwick incident as a cautionary tale for modern live performances. Articles dissected how technical logistics, audience psychology, and media amplification can combine to create false narratives, even in the absence of any human error on the performer's part. Critics praised Tom Jones for his poise, pointing out that the singer's decades-long career was characterized by resilience and adaptability. They emphasized that the incident highlighted the fragile intersection of artistry and infrastructure, that even the most experienced performer remains vulnerable to circumstances beyond their control. The story also resonated with the broader cultural landscape of celebrity in the 21st century. Fans, journalists, and scholars alike recognized the Alnwick concert as emblematic of the pressures modern performers face. The expectation for perfection, the instantaneous amplification of minor mishaps, and the fragility of public perception create a high-stakes environment in which even the smallest disruptions can be sensationalized. Tom Jones' experience became a case study in how celebrities must manage not just their performances, but also the narratives that surround them, especially when the world can witness every moment in real time. Over time, the narrative gradually evolved. Documentaries, interviews, and fan retrospectives reframed the blackout as an extraordinary, albeit stressful, challenge rather than a scandalous failure. Tom Jones himself incorporated the story into reflections on his career, speaking about the unpredictability of live shows and the importance of remaining composed under pressure. By embracing the incident rather than ignoring it, he reinforced the values that had made him a legend: resilience, professionalism, and unwavering commitment to his craft. The Alnwick incident also influenced how future live performances were planned. Technical redundancies were prioritized, communication protocols between performers and crews were enhanced, and contingency plans for sudden disruptions became standard. The incident, once a source of embarrassment, had transformed into a driver for operational excellence. In this way, Tom Jones' team turned adversity into an opportunity for improvement, demonstrating foresight and adaptability that further solidified his reputation as a consummate professional. Ultimately, the story of Tom Jones at Alnwick is not one of failure, but of resilience and the complex dynamics of live performance. The phrase "kicked off stage" may linger in memory, but the truth, once understood, is far richer. It is a tale of preparation, rapid decision-making, audience management, and the delicate balance between perception and reality. It reminds performers, fans, and the broader public that even the most iconic figures are subject to circumstances beyond their control, and that grace under pressure is a defining mark of true artistry. Through careful explanation, consistent performance, and strategic engagement with the public, Tom Jones reclaimed the narrative. He transformed a night of unexpected darkness into a testament to professionalism and enduring talent. Fans, critics, and fellow performers alike came to see that the legend remained unshaken. Not because he was immune to disruption, but because he rose above it with dignity and authority, proving that even in the most unexpected moments, true artistry endures. Even years after the Alnwick incident, the phrase "kicked off stage" remains stubbornly attached to Tom Jones' legacy in the digital imagination. Despite repeated clarifications and contextual accounts, the story became a kind of shorthand for the unpredictability of live performance, a moment when even a legend could vanish without warning. Online forums, fan videos, and retrospective articles continued to reference the night, often dramatizing it with images of darkness, empty microphones, and confused crowds. In a sense, the viral narrative outlived the event itself, taking on a life of its own, independent of the actual circumstances. For Tom Jones, this persistence was both frustrating and enlightening. On one hand, the exaggeration undermined the straightforward truth that the concert's abrupt end had been dictated entirely by technical and safety concerns. On the other hand, the endurance of the story demonstrated the cultural power of a single, highly charged moment. He realized that the audience's emotional memory, the shock, the confusion, the sudden absence, was as potent as the music he had spent decades perfecting. It became clear that in the age of instantaneous media, perception often outweighs reality, and that controlling how a story is framed is as important as controlling the performance itself. Over time, Tom Jones leaned into this lesson strategically. In interviews, he began reflecting on the night with humor and humility, emphasizing the human vulnerability behind the spectacle. "It's a reminder," he said, "that no matter how long you've been on stage, you're never fully in control. Things happen. You adapt, you survive, and you move forward." This measured approach did more than calm fans. It reshaped the narrative from humiliation to resilience. By embracing the incident as a teaching moment, he converted a potentially career-defining embarrassment into a demonstration of professionalism and perspective. Fans, too, contributed to the evolution of the story. Those who attended the concert became unofficial chroniclers, sharing not just the clips of the blackout, but also personal anecdotes about the atmosphere, the camaraderie, and the eventual understanding that the abrupt ending was beyond the performer's control. These accounts humanized the event, emphasizing empathy and the unpredictability of live shows. In fan circles, the story became less about scandal and more about the tension and drama that can emerge when hundreds of people share an unexpected moment in real time. Media coverage also shifted. Initial headlines emphasizing scandal gradually gave way to reflective pieces analyzing the incident as an example of modern performance challenges. Journalists explored the technological vulnerabilities of live concerts, the psychology of audience perception, and the broader implications for celebrity culture. Tom Jones' composure and continued success became central to these narratives, positioning him as a model of grace under pressure. In this way, the Alnwick concert transitioned from a potentially damaging event into a case study of resilience and adaptability. In the years that followed, the incident entered the realm of pop culture lore. References to Tom Jones being kicked off stage appeared in documentaries, television retrospectives, and even comedic sketches. While the details were often exaggerated for effect, the continued attention reinforced the idea that live performance is inherently precarious, even for artists of legendary stature. The story became a cautionary tale, a reminder that no amount of preparation can fully insulate a performer from the unexpected, and that the narrative that survives is often shaped more by emotion than by fact. Tom Jones himself adapted his performances in subtle ways. Stage crews became more robust, backup systems more sophisticated, and contingency planning more rigorous. He also developed a renewed focus on audience engagement, understanding that even when things go wrong, the performer's demeanor can shape the audience's reaction. By combining technical improvements with personal presence, he minimized the risk of similar misunderstandings in future concerts. In this sense, the Alnwick blackout acted as both a challenge and a catalyst, prompting changes that strengthened his performances and reinforced his reputation as a consummate professional. Yet, the enduring fascination with the incident speaks to a larger truth about celebrity and storytelling. In the digital age, even a minor mishap can be transformed into legend through repetition, viral sharing, and the emotional resonance of the moment. The phrase "kicked off stage" captured a collective feeling of shock and uncertainty, and it resonated because it dramatized the vulnerability of a figure usually perceived as untouchable. Tom Jones' experience illustrates how narratives evolve independently of facts, and how the power of perception can shape memory, reputation, and cultural mythmaking. Ultimately, the Alnwick incident did not define Tom Jones' career, but it enriched it. It became a story of resilience, a testament to adaptability, and an example of the interplay between audience, performer, and media. Fans came to understand the truth. Critics recognized the professionalism behind the chaos, and Tom Jones himself emerged with renewed perspective. The legend endured, not in spite of the incident, but because of the grace with which it was handled. Even now, when clips of that fateful night resurface online, they spark debate, reflection, and admiration. Viewers are reminded that live performance is a complex, human endeavor, subject to forces beyond anyone's control. And in that reminder lies the enduring power of Tom Jones, a performer who, even in moments of abrupt absence, commands attention, respect, and admiration. The blackout at Alnwick is no longer just a moment of confusion. It is a story of resilience, a lesson in perception, and a testament to the enduring artistry of a legend. Years after the Alnwick incident, the story of Tom Jones being kicked off stage had settled in a popular consciousness as a dramatic footnote in his storied career. Yet for Jones, the lessons from that night were profound, shaping not only his approach to live performance, but also his understanding of how audiences, media, and even technology interact to define a performer's legacy. The event demonstrated that no matter how seasoned an artist, unpredictability is always a factor, and that the stage, despite all preparation, can never be fully tamed. In subsequent tours, Jones incorporated these lessons subtly but intentionally. His performances became a study in both precision and adaptability. Stage crews were reinforced with additional technical personnel, and every venue underwent rigorous pre-show checks to prevent even the smallest chance of failure. Backup generators, redundant lighting systems, and communication redundancies became standard practice, a testament to how a single blackout can catalyze operational evolution. Fans noticed these refinements not as technical minutiae, but as a smoothness and confidence in every show. When Jones took the stage, the audience could feel that the performer and the production was prepared for any eventuality, and yet always focused on delivering the raw energy and charisma that had made him legendary. Equally important was the psychological resilience that Jones exhibited. The Alnwick incident had demonstrated that a performer's composure in moments of uncertainty could shape the narrative far more than any prepared speech or press release. Jones became increasingly deliberate in his engagement with audiences, understanding that his presence, gestures, and communication even when things went wrong, could calm confusion and guide perception. By showing poise during minor interruptions in later concerts, he subtly reminded fans that the sudden disappearance at Alnwick had been an anomaly, not a reflection of his professionalism or talent. The media also played a transformative role in how the story evolved. Initially, headlines had focused on humiliation, leveraging shock value to draw clicks. But in the months and years afterward, feature articles, documentaries, and retrospective analyses reframed the incident as a study in the realities of live performance. Journalists highlighted the behind-the-scenes technical challenges, the safety protocols, and the performer's unwavering professionalism. Tom Jones' calm and articulate explanations in interviews reinforced this narrative. As a result, the Alnwick blackout shifted from being perceived as an embarrassing failure to a demonstration of resilience in the face of uncontrollable circumstances. Fans, too, continued to shape the legacy of that night. Forums, fan clubs, and social media pages revisited the event repeatedly, but over time, the discussion matured. Rather than sensationalizing the moment, many posts focused on admiration for Jones' decades-long career and the grace he exhibited even when technology failed him. Stories emerged about fans consoling each other, speculating behind the scenes, and eventually celebrating the fact that their idol had navigated the chaos with dignity. The incident became a shared memory, not of embarrassment, but of the unpredictable thrill of live music and the human elements that make it compelling. The Alnwick concert also influenced how Jones approached his media presence. Interviews, documentaries, and public appearances began incorporating subtle reflections on unpredictability and the necessity of adaptability. By framing the incident as a learning experience, he reclaimed control over the narrative. He often spoke about the importance of preparation, teamwork, and resilience, emphasizing that no amount of experience could fully eliminate the chance of unforeseen events. These reflections became instructive not just for fans, but for aspiring performers who saw in Jones a model for maintaining dignity and authority even when circumstances threatened to undermine both. Interestingly, the incident gained a secondary life as part of pop culture lore. References to the night Tom Jones vanished from the stage appeared in books, television retrospectives, and even comedic sketches, often exaggerated for effect. In a sense, the blackout became a legend, not because of failure, but because of its drama and memorability. And yet, the underlying truth that it was a technical failure beyond the singer's control was always present for those willing to look. This duality between myth and reality illustrates how celebrity narratives evolve in the modern age. Perception can rival and sometimes overshadow fact. For Tom Jones, the most important outcome was personal and professional growth. The incident reinforced his understanding that a performer's legacy is shaped not just by talent or longevity, but also by resilience, adaptability, and how one navigates the unexpected. He emerged from the experience with renewed focus, strengthened relationships with his crew, and a clearer sense of how to engage with audiences and media alike. In doing so, he transformed what could have been a blemish on his career into a story of endurance, professionalism, and the enduring power of performance. The Alnwick night remains iconic not because of the blackout itself, but because of the lessons it embodies. It is a reminder that live performance is inherently unpredictable, that even legends are vulnerable to forces beyond their control, and that perception can wield as much influence as reality. Tom Jones' ability to navigate this incident and to use it as a catalyst for refinement and growth demonstrates the intersection of artistry, professionalism, and human resilience. Ultimately, the story of Tom Jones at Alnwick is emblematic of the modern performer's world, an arena where technical complexity, audience psychology, media amplification, and human unpredictability collide. It is a testament to the enduring artistry of a performer who, even when temporarily absent from the stage, commands attention, respect, and admiration. The blackout, once a moment of uncertainty, has been transformed into a symbol of resilience, illustrating that true legends are defined not by flawless execution alone, but by how they rise above the unexpected and continue to shine in the spotlight, no matter the odds. Years after the Alnwick blackout, the event became more than just a technical failure. It became a narrative thread in the larger tapestry of Tom Jones' career. The incident, initially framed as a shocking disruption, gradually evolved into a story of resilience, adaptability, and the unpredictable theater of live performance. Fans and media alike began to treat the night not as a blemish, but as a vivid illustration of the vulnerability inherent in even the most meticulously planned concerts. In pop culture discussions, it became shorthand for the fragility of spectacle, how a single unforeseen moment can dominate collective memory, even overshadowing decades of flawless performance. For Tom Jones, this evolution in perception was a critical turning point. He recognized that in the age of instant information and social media amplification, a single event, even one entirely outside his control, could define public perception for years. The lesson was clear. Narrative management is as crucial as technical precision or vocal mastery. He began to incorporate this understanding into every aspect of his professional life, from rehearsals to media appearances. Each tour after Alnwick reflected meticulous preparation, not only to prevent technical failures, but also to ensure that he retained control over the story his performance told, even if things went awry. Fans became custodians of the narrative, sharing their own experiences and insights across forums, social media, and fan clubs. Over time, these discussions emphasized context over scandal. Witness accounts highlighted the composure of Jones during the abrupt blackout, describing how he remained calm backstage, communicating effectively with his crew, and prioritizing safety above spectacle. Fans who had attended the concert often shared a sense of collective understanding and empathy, emphasizing the human elements of live performance, the uncertainties, the improvisations, and the teamwork required to manage them. Through these stories, the public gradually embraced a more nuanced interpretation of the Alnwick incident. It was not an expulsion, but an extraordinary challenge met with professionalism. Media retrospectives reinforced this shift. Articles and documentaries revisiting the incident often contrasted the chaos of that single night with Jones' decades-long career of commanding the stage with authority. Commentators noted that the blackout revealed the hidden complexities behind live shows, the reliance on technology, crew coordination, and split-second decision-making. They highlighted how Jones' response exemplified the qualities of a true performer: poise, adaptability, and the capacity to transform adversity into a demonstration of skill. By framing the story in this way, media outlets helped solidify a narrative in which the incident enhanced, rather than diminished, his legacy. The Alnwick concert also gained a place in the lore of live performance itself. Musicians, event organizers, and performance scholars often reference it as an instructive case study. It demonstrates how technical failures, no matter how minor, can escalate into moments of public speculation, and how performers' reactions can shape the audience's perception as much as the incident itself. In this sense, the story has transcended celebrity gossip and entered professional discourse, illustrating broader truths about the intersection of artistry, logistics, and audience psychology. Tom Jones leveraged this evolving narrative strategically. He addressed the blackout in interviews with humor and reflection, acknowledging the unpredictability of live performances while emphasizing the professionalism required to manage them. These candid reflections resonated with fans and aspiring performers alike, offering insight into the realities of a career in music. The story became a teaching moment, a reminder that even legends face uncontrollable circumstances, and that grace under pressure is an enduring measure of true artistry. In the digital age, the Alnwick incident also highlighted the tension between perception and reality. Viral clips, incomplete videos, and sensationalized headlines initially amplified the drama, creating a narrative that emphasized disappearance and humiliation. Yet the persistence of fan accounts, detailed explanations from the production team, and Jones' own reflections gradually shifted the narrative. The incident came to symbolize the delicate balance between spectacle and human vulnerability, between expectation and unpredictability, a balance that every performer must navigate. Cultural memory, in this case, has both celebrated and mythologized the event. References to Tom Jones being kicked off stage appear in documentaries, retrospectives, and fan-created media, often exaggerated for dramatic effect. Yet behind the myth lies a deeper truth. The incident underscored the fragility and complexity of live performance. For fans, it became an emblematic story of suspense and human fallibility. For performers, it became a lesson in preparation, risk management, and the importance of composure. And for Tom Jones himself, it became a testament to enduring professionalism in the face of the unexpected. Even as years pass, the Alnwick night continues to evoke fascination. Clips resurface online, sparking discussion and reflection among new generations of fans who never witnessed the concert firsthand. Each viewing reinforces the tension, the abruptness, and the emotional resonance of the event. And yet, by now, the focus has shifted from humiliation to admiration. Admiration for Jones' ability to navigate a difficult moment, for his unwavering command of his craft, and for the resilience that has allowed him to maintain a legendary career despite unpredictable challenges. Ultimately, the Alnwick incident became more than a singular event. It became part of the narrative architecture of Tom Jones' legacy. It illustrates how performance, perception, and narrative intersect, and how even moments of disruption can contribute to the enduring mythology of a legendary artist. The story is a reminder that in the theater of live performance, unpredictability is inevitable, and that true artistry is revealed not only in flawless execution, but also in the grace with which one responds when the stage, technology, and circumstance conspire against perfection. For Tom Jones, the night he vanished from view was neither the end of his career nor a mark against his artistry. It became a story of resilience, a lesson in audience perception, and a chapter in the ongoing legacy of a performer who continues to command attention, respect, and admiration, decades into a career defined by charisma, talent, and adaptability. Even in absence, the presence of his artistry remains undeniable, proof that legends are measured not only by the spotlight they occupy, but by the composure they maintain when the lights go out.